Hello everybody, Neurotic Vows here. I want to talk about video games. I've been playing The Last of Us. Um, I played it, it took me about 14 hours on my first run through. I tried to collect everything, but then halfway through it just got so hectic and I was like, I just gotta beat this game. I gotta know the story and I gotta beat it. And got 99 collectibles in the end, which is not even all of them. But we're not here to talk about this game. After beating it, I started thinking about some older games I used to play that I would get sucked into for hours at a time that they don't even make anymore. So I thought of a list of my top 7 games I would love to see come back, either in the current generation or in the next generation. So let's get started. First game I would love to see return is Destruction Derby. I That was the first PlayStation game I owned. It right when I got the PlayStation. That was the game that we got with it, and I literally played that game for hours and hours. I was a little kid, so I was like, "Oh, new technology, you gotta play it," and just would not let that game down. And I was thinking, with online, it'd be a lot of fun to have like 36 people around a bowl and all converge and try to destroy each other and see who comes out on top. Um, the only problem though is it won't be quite as hectic with multiplayer, mainly because the AI in the original games were programmed to seek you out and just make it as hard for you as they possibly could. I remember going taking detours and all the AI is still just careening for me. But with multiplayer, even though it won't be as hectic, it'd still be a lot of fun to have like some of your friends with you and be able to have bragging rights at the end. Be like, yeah, I know how to consider my car better than you, and I got more points than you. Um, Anyway, another game I'd love to see come back is Road Rash. Now, Road Rash, for those who don't know what it was a motorcycle point-to-point racing game where the camera was up behind you, third person, and you could hit people with weapons like batons and chains and just punch them, and you try to make it to the end in first place. You could buy upgraded motorcycles later on, and I think that'd be a very fun game to have in the next consoles, especially with multiplayer. That game would benefit a lot with online multiplayer. Um, then we move on to number 3, which is Vigilante 8. This is, if you can tell, I played a lot of vehicle-related games in the 90s. I still do. I love Gran Turismo. Anyway, getting back, Vigilante 8 was a car shooting game, similar to Twisted Metal, but wasn't quite as dark, and some of the weapon upgrades were pretty funny. Like the old farmer who had a swarm of bees that would chase after the enemy, and they even had like a UFO. They only made 2 of them, and technically Vigilante 8 is a spin-off series of another game, but yeah, it was just a really fun game. Could play. Was it? Forgot how many people. I think it was like 6. Well, it was you and then the 5 enemies at the most. But again, another game that benefited a lot from multiplayer. And I know they did a HD remake combining the first and second games. But I want a like full-fledged disc-based sequel, either a sequel or a restart of the series. I think it'd be pretty fun. Another game I used to play a lot, the first non-vehicle based game on this list, Gex. I played the first 2 3D Gexes. Never got a chance to play any of the 2D side-scrolling ones, but I love the humor in those Gex games. I mean, Boy George references just randomly while you're beating up enemies, or Rip Taylor, and just so much fun we had in those games. It was kind of it had a lot of pop culture references, which kind of reminds me of Family Guy, but in a video game. And I would love to have a video game that has that brings me back to that state of like being in the late 90s, having a gecko spewing out random pop culture references while you're jumping on them on a platforming type game. Next game, number 5, Dino Crisis. The first couple Dino Crisis games were pretty amazing. I'm a huge lover of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are my favorite thing in the world. Um, and so taking survival horror, the aspects from Resident Evil, since it's made by the people that made Resident Evil, combining that with dinosaurs, for me, was the greatest thing in the world. The first two Dino Crisis, I played them over and over. When I beat it, I would restart it and just play it again. And then, of course, there is the infamous last Dino Crisis they made, which killed the franchise, and I don't even consider it part of the gaming series. I try to erase it, kind of like the prequel trilogy to Star Wars. It just does not exist in my world. But no, I'd love to see them go back and make that game and make a new sequel that kind of glosses over the last game, maybe the last two games. Yeah. Number 6 for Nintendo. One of my favorite early games was Star Fox, and then Star Fox 64. I didn't really like the Star Foxes where you actually got out of your craft and shot. Yeah, that just didn't feel right to me. But if they made a new Star Fox game that was in the spirit of the first two, I would buy a Wii U for that. I tragically don't own a Wii U, even though there are a couple games I want to get for it. There's just not enough content on it for me right now. But if they were to make a Star Fox game, I would actually buy a Wii U just for a new Star Fox game. And then last game, and bring right back to the car thing, Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi was, not a very deep game. It was very simple, but it was a lot of fun. That could be like a little $10 down. If they made a brand new one, a $10 download game, and it could have multiplayer where you try to get more cab fares in a set amount of time than your opponents. And it's just these games, like for me in the 90s, these games were like huge for me. Like I just played them over and over. But unlike some of the other games I loved, these all stopped being made by the end of the 90s, early thousands, even though they were fantastic games. So that closes my list of my top games that I would love to see come back in the current or next generation console. But I want to hear from you guys. Comment below what games you would love to see come back in some form with a true sequel or a true restart, not a remake, and not a remaster. I mean, so just comment below what games you would love to see come back. And I'll be reading those, and who knows, maybe I might make a second list of other games that you guys might have reminded me of. Anyway, this is Neurotic Vaz. Please favorite and subscribe. Nah, I don't feel cheesy for asking for subscriptions or likes. So ignore that I said that. If you like my content, I don't really post too often, but I'm going to try to, because I'm trying to create a new series on another channel where I do music reviews. If you can tell, I have a lot of music. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, comment. Let me know what games you would love to see come back. And I will see you in my next video. Have a good day.